Good afternoon. Welcome to all of you on this lovely Sunday afternoon. Sorry. My name is Brihadeshwar Bezwada. I'm the computer science HOD at the Department of Computer Science at Mahindra Ecole Central. I'm joined in this webinar with Dr. Chirala Satyanarayana, who is Associate Professor and Head of the Department of Mathematics. We are here to introduce to you a new program on BTech in Mathematics and Computation. This is a program that is, as you can say, is one of the programs that is going to cater to the developing landscape of technology, science, and in general, leading to a better lifestyle. Next slide, please. Can we move to the next slide, please?
Yeah, already I've moved actually.
Okay. So let me give you an overview of what the previous slide, please.
Yeah.
So let me give you an overview of what this program is trying to, let me give you the philosophical, the motivation for this program. So basically, most of the foundations of today's science and technology come from two key foundational aspects. One is in basic science, which comprises of mathematics, physics, chemistry, biology, and all the fundamental sciences. Then the other technological advance or other science, or what we call as an artificial science, is that of digital computing. A mixture of these two basic sciences and the digital computing has led to an explosion of industrial as well as scientific achievements and developments and what we see around us. So in mathematics, there has been since a long period of maybe 1500 years or so, there has been a lot of development and a lot of scientific exploration. Many fundamental areas have laid the basis for further exploration. So self-sufficient areas like calculus, algebra, geometry, probability, statistics, number theory have evolved as independent original areas of science and education. A similar development happened in the computational science side, or the computer science as you are more familiar with, where during the 1940s, a professor called Alan Turing developed the model for the modern computing. And from there, in fact, he also introduced the model for modern artificial intelligence. But from there, we have been able to understand whether we can solve a lot of problems around us, or we can solve many problems in mathematics using digital computers. So areas like complexity theory, which explain how complex a problem is, how difficult it is to solve a particular problem. So these kind of things are studied in complexity theory. The field of algorithms, which existed even before complexity theory, which basically talks about how to understand a problem and solve it in a step-by-step systematic manner, is something that algorithms explains. And then after the after World War II and after considerable innovations in algorithms and complexity theory and in computing models, then came the era of VLSI and computing architectures, where people were able to create small microprocessors in which you can perform several millions of operations like arithmetic and logical operations together. And then in the 70s, then came the next level of evolution, that was connecting computers together to build a large scale distributed architecture. So these are the key advances, and then came the challenges of how to store the data and how to process the data that came so the field of databases solved that problem to a large extent. And then next came the key aspect of, can computers replace or do jobs that normal human beings can do, like for instance recognizing two objects or differentiating between an apple and an orange? Can we make a computer do that, or can we make a computer drive a car without having drivers? So these are the two foundational sciences that actually led to this led to an explosion of areas. But so far in many programs you will see that both mathematical foundation and computational sciences are explored or taught separately. So a course in mathematics for instance would deal more in the mathematics of these subjects, go deeper into those results. A course in computer science will go deeper into how to design algorithms, how to improve upon, or how to fine tune them. But what is really required is an area which actually takes advantage of both these fields and develops applications which are really which can cut across a lot more fields than just these two fields. And that is what we call as scientific computing. Okay, so it's a holistic product of these two foundational sciences. And this is a program designed to provide strong foundations in mathematics, in computer science, and finally in scientific computation. So have you ever wondered how people who are working on developing the COVID vaccine, how are they testing how are they simulating these molecules? How are they visualizing how these proteins are bonding, how the virus actually spreads? How are they modeling this flow of the virus inside a human body, right? All of these are what are not really taught in any regular BTech program, but these are actually problems that require two experts, one from the scientific side like a biologist or a chemist, and then you need a computer science person who actually understands and models these problems and creates a solution that actually solves the realistic problem. Okay, and this is the foundational aspect of our program, and we would like to explain more about taking with some examples. Next slide, please. So there are different areas of applications in computer science we can evolve. One is these are the different areas of computer science, like information security, networking, data science, high performance computing. So these are all the areas of areas of application for companies. Then we have all these areas of applications for scientific computing, like bioinformatics, genetics, computational chemistry, biology, computational dynamics, and economics. And in industrial domains, you can see this scientific computing being applied almost everywhere, like in healthcare, energy, defense, communication, smart systems, automobiles. So what is really required is to develop, robust and innovative technological solutions. And there is a high demand for skilled engineers with solid mathematical and computational skills. And this is what we would like to do in this program. The next slide, please. Can we move to the next slide, please? So let me introduce a little bit about our faculty. In mathematics, we have Professor Satyanarayana, Jaiprakash, Mahipal. In computer science, we have Professor Ramurthy, Professor Raghukishore, Arikumar. So we have a wide range of expertise and skill sets from information security, networking, artificial neural networks, machine learning, software engineering, geospatial analytics, theoretical computer science, big data, genome sequencing. So we have people who have obtained PhDs from American universities like Michigan State, Purdue, Auburn, and we have people who have done high quality PhDs from premier Indian institutes of technology like IIT Indore, Kanpur, IIT Hyderabad. So this program is built upon our strength is our faculty, and we have built up this curriculum based on this faculty strength and their expertise. The next slide, please. The next slide, please. So let me explain a little bit about the science of computing and then move on to so most of the computational methods so far have focused on data processing. So you can look at most of the existing BTech curriculum that focuses mostly on how to process data, how to efficiently store data, how to design efficient algorithms. Like for instance, how to sort a large list of numbers like a stock price to find the smallest stock price. Or if you look at a graph, how to find the shortest path that covers all the users in a given graph. Or if you're given different pencils of different colors, how to take these images and then classify according to these colors. So the key focus of computing is on algorithms and data processing so far. That is a key focus. This is what you can expect from a BTech in computer science, right? Develop algorithms, work on data structures, improve them, and process data more efficiently. Next slide, please. To support this computing, computer science also looks at architectures for computing like multi-core architectures or high-performance computing architectures, where the key focus is on the ability to do parallel computing, the ability to run as many programs as much code as possible concurrently. And we have seen, so this is what has been the core focus of computer science and BTech, across any, not just India or but any other university would actually have focused on these aspects. Okay, next slide, please. As I said, this is again this is showing how high performance computing is enhancing our how high performance computing can be used to improve the existing processing speeds. Okay, so novel computing architectures are the key for these things. Next slide, please. We have already covered this. Can we move to the next slide, please? Several applications in traditional computer science are work on computer graphics, image processing, or processing real-time video, or creating 3D animated sequences. So these are all kind of what you say are traditional fields of study. And the point is, we're trying to see how these fields, these skills can be utilized in other areas like MRI, like say reading X-ray images, or trying to detect disease from studying uh, retina scans or MRI scans or ultrasound scans or X-ray scans. So this is what scientific computing would be expected to deal with. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. One of the key developments or the most exciting areas of study in computer science has been artificial intelligence, where initial study has been on classification algorithms, which can, for instance, can look at a particular image and recognize the person in the image, like facial recognition, or differentiating two different photos of two different people. So and even things like developing robots which can fly by themselves, can navigate obstacles, have intelligence built in them, and can do a lot of tasks. So for instance, in this era of COVID-19, we are seeing contactless deliveries through by robots which can travel and navigate, and we are expecting cars that can drive by themselves. So all of these exciting areas of computing rely on one foundational computer science, is artificial intelligence, and this is also one of the core fields. Can you next slide, please? Okay, so I will leave the field to my colleague for discussing the mathematics and computation aspect.
Good afternoon. This is Satyanarayana, Mathematics Department. So I would like to speak regarding basic sciences or mathematics, mathematical foundations. Suppose if you want to model any physical phenomena, uh, you will be writing governing equations which are coming from the physics of the problem. So the governing equations will be mostly in terms of derivatives, integral equations, and so on. So if you want to solve these problems using direct methods, sometimes these methods may not work for all the cases here, even though if you prove the existence and uniqueness of the problem. So in that case, I will try to solve the problems using numerical methods and other techniques like high performance computing and so on. So in this case, first of all, we will be discussing or we will be teaching some basics of basic mathematical foundations of the course here. So we'll be starting with fundamentals like calculus, algebra, geometry, statistics, and so on. So then after that, we'll be teaching advanced numerical methods like finite element analysis, grid tree methods, finite volume methods, and so on. Okay, so our vision is to train the engineers with full strong mathematical background, and also they will be studying required computer science subjects to solve the real world problems here. So already I've seen the areas of interest and our application areas here. So let me introduce my mathematics faculty. So here we have faculty with PhD from IITs, and also they are having expertise in numerical analysis, computational fluid dynamics, fluid mechanics, image processing, Dirichlet differential equations, financial mathematics, and so on. So if you look at the applications of these things here, so let me start with a simple problem. So you might have seen this problem in probability distributions. If you look at the normal distribution curve there, so if you want to find out the probability under the curve, you will be basically integrating this curve from 0 to x now. So the problem is, suppose if we want to integrate this definite integral using your direct methods like fundamental theorem of calculus and so on. So you say that this antiderivative does not exist for the integrand. So then you will be trying to find out numerical solutions of these kind of problems using Monte Carlo methods or numerical integration techniques. Okay. So and then if you move on to the applications of equations and in finance, suppose for example, if you look at the Black-Scholes equation, so here V is the price of option at a given stock price on time, and R is the risk-free interest rate, sigma is the volatility of the problem. So if you look at the governing equations, the governing equations is given in terms of partial differential equations here. So now if you solve this partial differential equation, you will be getting some kind of surface charge like this here. So it will be giving the price for a given time and a given stock price. But sometimes these differential equations cannot be solved directly using analytical methods. So then we'll be using numerical techniques to solve these problems. Okay. So I would like to explain regarding basic finite element method here. So because sometimes, so if you want to model the problem which is related to the fluid mechanics. So for example, if you take the flow around a airfoil, so sometimes if you this problem, or if you want to describe this problem using finite element analysis, so after discretizing, you will be getting a system of equations of the size like 1000 by 1000 or 2000 by 1000, or maybe in terms of large systems you will be getting. So those systems cannot be solved using traditional methods like Gauss-Seidel and other techniques. So you'll be using high performance computing techniques there to solve the problems efficiently, right? And also along with that, we will be studying advanced numerical algebra techniques here to solve the problems here. And sometimes, suppose if you want to capture the discontinuities regarding the airfoil, this around the boundary of this airfoil, so you'll be using adaptive techniques. So these adaptive techniques are done based on the quadtree approach now. So this is coming from the data stages and algorithms. Yeah. Okay. So they are the applications of computational fluid dynamics. You can say that. So computational fluid dynamics is nothing but the combination of numerical analysis and data structures. So you'll be developing some efficient numerical techniques to solve the problems which are related to fluid mechanics. Sometimes you may be using high performance computing also according to the size of the problem. And also there are some applications in computational biology. Suppose if you want to simulate the blood flow in heart, so there you will be using finite element analysis to simulate the problem. Similarly, suppose if you want to predict the weather using partial differential equations here. So you know that the governing equations are coming from the Navier-Stokes equations. So they are nothing but the system of partial differential equations. So you'll be giving input data which is coming from the winds, heat transfer, and so on. So you'll be solving the corresponding equations on a larger domain. So there you'll be required to use high performance computing to solve the problems. So I will hand over the floor to Professor Pradeshwar. So he'll be adding some inputs to this.
Can we go to the next slide, please? Satya, next slide, please.
Yes, academic framework.
Next one. This is our pedagogy. Just will touch a little briefly on it. So we are going to look at basically two aspects. One is the mathematical modeling. So if you see the first three topics cover on the how to model a problem, how to derive the equations necessary, and the last two techniques where we will design computer programs and we will try to solve the problem using programming language, right? So this is a key aspect. So we'll not get into the details of it at the moment. Next slide, please. I'd like to talk about the courses and our general curriculum framework. Next slide, please, Satya. So the MEC pedagogy is very well known. We have been doing it for a while. Can we move on to the next slide, Satya? So this is the curriculum framework. We have about 56 credits in mathematics, and 52 credits in in computer science. We can, if you look at the kaleidoscope of courses, you can see there's a good balance of computer science courses here. Then there's a good balance of mathematics, and there is a mixture of courses that actually come at the cross product of these two, which we call as computational mathematics courses. Can we go to the next slide, please? Where I will talk a bit about the key courses we are covering. Next slide, please. So these are the salient features of our program. These are the key courses. Like in computing, we have theory of computing, algorithms, artificial intelligence. We have systems courses like operating systems, networks, software engineering. As you can see, we cover almost all foundational courses of computer science, and we have the courses for mathematics, for probability, statistics, financial mathematics, differential equations. And we also have elective courses. So the last courses are set of electives which students can take and explore further, like computer vision, robotics, fluid mechanics. So in different areas of scientific exploration. So this kind of gives you an overview of what what a student joining this program can expect. Can we go to the next slide, please? You will probably get an idea of where the career prospects lie for these kind of courses. Next slide, please. Satya, next slide, please. So these are the prospective career paths we have tried to list out where computational mathematics students can expect to be hired, or where they can expect to seek for a further career path. One in financial sector, like in banks and share trading firms, as computational biologists uh, working in places like Ready Labs, or central government organizations like CCMB, or computational chemists working in pharma companies or petroleum companies, or central labs like Indian Institute of Chemical Technology. Or you can expect people to join join in the pharma industry like Sun Pharma, Mankind, or even uh, and we have people who can join places like Tata Motors, automobile industry, where smart vehicles, autonomous vehicles are making a big splash in the sector right now. And we also have a lot of smart systems industry coming up, where we have smart bulbs that turn on as you walk in the room, or a clap, or you say, please Alexa, turn on something. So the devices like Alexa, Amazon Echo, these are all the smart industry systems. So Philips, Tesla, LG, these are all the big players where we can expect people to join in. We have healthcare industries where people can work in hospitals, diagnostics, they can work in developing medical equipment, or a computer science, a person who's purely interested in only the computer science aspect of our course can simply join the IT sector in Amazon, Microsoft, Facebook, but he will have the additional advantage of strong and rigorous mathematical foundations. Or people can join the artificial intelligence and AI domain like Google AI or Facebook AI, and contribute and become part of the AI revolution that is coming up. And there's definitely opportunity for higher education in MS and PhD in not just computer science, but multi-variable, multi set of MS programs. That is something that we BTech programs would not. That is something that BTech programs would not cannot claim to achieve. Next slide, please. So this is about it for our webinar, and we would like to, we'll be happy to take questions from you. We apologize if there has been any technical issues with respect to connectivity, but most of us are at home, working from home, so it's something that, yeah, so we are open for questions, please. Okay. Uh, okay, can we open the slide of the year-wise syllabus, Satya? The 4-year curriculum. So we haven't listed, but we can basically show you what we are covering in the 4 years. The first year we're going to have a lot of science courses, mix of maths, physics, chemistry, biology, humanities, with strong courses in programming, where we will be teaching students programming skills in C, C++, Java, and Python. The first year actually covers a lot of these ground. Second year, we'll have foundational courses in maths and computer science, like data structures, algorithms, theory of computing. Mathematics will have probability, statistics, real analysis, and other courses. And we'll also have computer science courses like operating systems and networks here. In third year, we'll be getting into more advanced courses like artificial intelligence and computer vision, and high performance computing. In mathematics, we will get into more higher courses like stochastic processes and financial mathematics, and more of application, areas of science and scientific computing and mathematics. And final year, we usually try to give a lot of freedom to explore other fields of study like civil engineering or physics or chemistry. So students can take up projects or full-time projects or research projects, or even explore different areas with through open electives, and they can also take up industrial internships in their chosen area of interest. If you have further questions, you could please email us. We have provided our email address on the for the regarding the courses. Can you go to the course slide, Satya, where it shows all the so there is a question regarding the statistics. The thing is, we about placements. We do have a good number of placements every year. But if you want specific details of statistics of how many got placed in what package, you may want to just look at the approach the academic office. But we've had people start from 6 lakhs and per annum package, and we have students who have been hired at the rate of 30 or 35 lakhs per after their CS graduation. But this being a new program, I think in 4 years the prospects will be much better. The career growth prospects are pretty good because we are seeing a lot of you can clearly see there is a lot of need for competition in different fields. So computer scientists are no longer just required to write simple programs for a few things. They're not just handling databases, or they're handling genetic sequences, they're handling protein sequences, they're developing models for simulating how a drug or how a vaccine impacts the human body. So there is plenty of growth in a lot of fields, not just biological. Bioinformatics is one area, but also in automobile industry, where autonomous vehicles are coming up, where we are seeing smart systems inside the cars which help you navigate. So there is plenty of growth prospects. Definitely scientific computing or mathematics, computation and mathematics is going to be an area to reckon. How much ACT score is required? I think that I can redirect to the admissions office. It probably changes every year, but let me see. Do I have any number for that? So what is the average? I believe that you want to approach the admissions office regarding this kind of information, because it can changes every year. There is a question of what kind of projects students can do during the program. Basically, students can do projects in financial mathematics. For instance, they can explore stock market prices and develop prediction models. They can explore materials where how they can use artificial intelligence, for instance, to explore how new materials can be designed for all these. We're reaching stage of different kinds of scientific space exploration. So there you can see that we need new kinds of material that can survive in different kinds of environments, and of course we cannot build and test in such environments. So there computational science comes very handy, because it can simulate several millions of scenarios and test a particular material simultaneously. So these kind of projects, we have a very strong materials group, we have a very strong mechanical engineering group, and a very strong computer science and mathematics group. We do a lot of projects. Cyber security, for instance, requires a lot of deep learning, artificial intelligence based solutions. We have people who are working in natural language processing. So the number of projects are really pretty huge. So you can definitely expect students to be taught a lot more. So are the yes, we actually, so the way are the courses, are the languages taught in the computer science program? The answer is partially yes, because we initially teach students part of the some part of the syntax, but we basically make them work on programming projects so that they focus more on the solving the problem rather than the syntax. Because if students learn one or two languages, they're usually they pick up very quickly the remaining languages. There is not much difference in the syntax. Maybe the model of the language is different from maybe procedural to object oriented languages, but in the end the programming language is typically something students can explore, and we don't actually force students to stick to these languages. I mean, if somebody wants to explore problem solving in some other languages, we are more than happy to encourage those things. Okay. I'm just going through all the questions I'm getting in. Let me see if I've answered most of it. So let me, this is one question I've seen here. Okay. So there is a question here which basically is asking me, are they, so are all the languages taught in computational mathematics taught in CS also? So the question is, I think you want to see if there are. So the answer is no. So there are certain aspects in computational math which are not taught in computer science. So this is something that you can, for instance, there are subjects like computational fluid dynamics or finite element methods that actually have a lot of mathematics orientation, and usually computer science students don't really get into those aspects as much. So they won't be actually taught everything that is taught to computational math. So you can say a majority of the courses, because our curriculum is such that we have a lot of we have the core courses covered mostly in the first 2 years. So you may see that, you may feel that there is a lot of similarity, but there's a lot of deviation starting from the third semester onwards, where there are several courses which are specifically taught to only computational math course. So you can see here courses like stochastic processes or mathematics modeling and simulation, right? So these are all taught financial mathematics or abstract algebra or integral equations. These are all taught for the computational math students and not to the computer science students. So computer science students go deeper into their areas of study like advanced computer networks or advanced operating systems, those kind of things. Okay, so or advanced deep learning, better architectures or high performance architectures for deep learning systems and things like that. So how is this program different from computer science? So computer science as a field stands by itself. It has its own, it has a lot of areas of exploration. For instance, you can just take something like theoretical computer science and algorithms. A student can actually just focus on that and go a lot deeper in that. And he may not actually be aware of, or he may not actually worry about the applications, or he may not work on fields such as drug discovery, for instance. So, but the thing is, if a person working in computational math, maybe at this point, maybe he's interested in working in computational chemistry, and maybe he will actually take, at some point, he may actually want to move to an area like computational biology, which studies about. So when you're doing computational chemistry, you're studying about modeling chemical processes in the computers and studying the effects of these things. But if you are doing computational biology, maybe studying about how human body can be modeled in computers, how we can simulate the breakage of bones, how we can simulate the reconstruction of the body bones and those kind of things. So a computer science student may not get into these areas unless until required, and he may not actually at that time he may not know all the necessary skills, like say for instance Monte Carlo simulations or finite element methods that are actually necessary for solving such problems. So computational math students coming right out of a BTech program will actually be much more prepared to work directly in such areas. So let me see some more questions. I'm seeing for instance, we have people working, we have computer scientists working on on developing robots or programming robots, or we have computer scientists working on processing images that are coming through satellites. So we need at some point there are at times where a computer science person has to work has to develop a solution for a different for a different set of problems for which he doesn't for which he just needs to know how to do basic algorithms, but also he needs to be able to interface with the people from other domains so that it will enable him to model their problem in a computer science in the computational way. So a regular computer science person may not actually get into all such application domains as a computational math person can get into. So we can say that if we say, for instance, the difference between developing a new neural network model, like you may have heard of machine learning classifiers or artificial neural networks. So a computational math student might actually know the foundations of an artificial neural network, and he may know how to apply, or he or she may know how to apply this to different problems, but he may not delve deep into the internals of the neural network after some time, because for him solving the domain problem becomes more important. Whereas a computer science student working in these areas of artificial intelligence may be concerned with improving the semantics or the operation of the neural network itself. So there are fundamental differences. Both are both are these are relevant questions. And but the thing is, the career scope and the number of jobs the different scale of jobs available out there clearly demonstrate that there is a need for such a program. So let me see more questions. Okay, so how much would job prospects be affected by this being a new stream subject? This is not entirely a completely new stream subject. This has been being offered at different couple of IITs as well, and also across the world. This is not a company. This is not a new stream of study. If you can just do a cursory, just search on LinkedIn or Insider. So those kind of Glassdoors kind of website, you will see that there is a lot of necessity for students who are good at computational sciences. So what they mean is that they want students who are good at computer science, fundamentals of computer science, but also have a good broad understanding of the scientific domains, right? So they want people to be able to work in that. So the job prospect will actually be quite uniform, and in fact the job prospects even will grow as new areas of sciences come up in the future, right? So we are seeing social sciences and these kind of things. So what are the companies that hire these students? So I would start with start with automobile companies like Mahindra, Tesla, or Tata. All of these companies that work on any company that works on the combination of science and computation will hire like Amazon, Swiggy, Zomato, or take companies in pharmacy industry like Ready Labs, Sun Pharma, Mankind, all of these which actually develop these medicines and drugs. And also we have these national institutes like IICT, CCMB, or even you can even the scope is completely limitless. I mean, you can see there are companies that are you can see there are organizations like ISRO that also hire NASA, ISRO, which hire such people, right? So you need those kind of thing. You have such scope in those things as well. Syllabus is not taught as part of pure CS courses. Which part of syllabus is not teach, which part of pure CS course. So I would say that the pure CS curriculum will consist of the following courses. One is mathematical foundations of so which part of syllabus. So if you are just if you want to know what is not taught in CS, I would say most of the cross areas like fluid mechanics or these finite element methods, things like abstract algebra, completely mathematical subjects which are actually having applications in different fields. In mechanical engineering, for instance, you have finite element methods used a lot, Monte Carlo simulations. So these are actually not taught in depth. We cover the breadth of these courses in CS in a few courses like high performance computing, but the depth of these courses is covered in computational math. So there are special courses like financial mathematics that are specifically for the computational math students. So let me see. I'm seeing some more questions. Just give me a second about this. I didn't really get this question that do we have classes in the evening? I'm not very sure what that means. We do have classes, but that's part of the regular curriculum. I apologize for the audio. I'm really sorry. So if there is an issue with the audio. So AI, EC, AI, CSE, mechanical engineering, which is the best trend compared towards if I'm trying to understand this question, you're trying to ask which of the these are all this is apples and oranges comparison. Each of these programs stand by themselves. They have their own strengths and they have their own targets of achieving what they want to do. So they're completely different. So we cannot compare as such. I would say computational math is more for you can say it's more of computational mathematics. So a person working in computational math will have to be is expected to be very good at mathematical modeling as well. So I mean, you should be able to solve a lot of interesting problems. How will it help student in job and further? So here's one thing I can say definitely differs where students jobs and careers are different. Computer science students typically gets into traditional computer science courses careers like programming or project management or maybe, and he may actually go for higher studies in computer science, maybe work in do research in computer science related subject or do PhD. Whereas a computational math student actually has a choice of going into jobs of different nature. He can join as a computational scientist. He can join as a computational biologist. So he has a lot of scope for finding different kinds of jobs. And also for higher studies, the student will have a higher scope of joining a larger number of master's programs. He doesn't have to be it doesn't have to only apply to computational computer science master's programs or PhD. He can join in other cross-cutting areas, or he can take up any of these computational math areas like computational biology, physics, chemistry, he can just join them, and he would be definitely, he can start off as if he has been, he has done some, he already would have done a lot of basics in such courses, so it will be definitely beneficial to him. So this is definitely one of those things which we can say, how do you interpret the use of computational mathematics? So basically, mechanical engineering relies a lot on physics, and so basically, there's a lot of problems so we model these physics problems, which are, so you have to use numerical methods or analytical methods to solve these problems. So that's where you actually have to know how to use these methods to solve such problems. So a student will actually have to understand those methods first before he can start solving such problems. So Monte Carlo simulations or finite element methods, for instance, are examples for such things. Let me see some more questions. I have already answered the job prospects. I think we have. Can we say that AI and computational math, mathematical specializations of CSE? I would not really say that, because computational, they are more of a so if you this is more a philosophical question, I wouldn't say that. To be direct, to answer a question in a yes or no, I would say we cannot say they are specializations of CSE. You can say that CSE is part of both of these programs. CSE helps build the base foundations for these programs, and what the students do in those specific areas like AI or mathematical scientific computing are completely different. Can be completely different. So for instance, nowadays it's you can see everybody is using computers. So most people use them without much, people in civil engineering may not know much programming, right? But the thing is, a person who does these programs will actually know a little more about how to develop good algorithms, how to write better programs, those kind of things. So this is something that you may that you may see are different from the regular programs. So they're not specializations of CSE. So there definitely there's a difference. How would they tie up with Ecole Center? I would say that you can. I think the admissions team can answer this question better. We do have a set of bridge programs for with Central Superlac, which is the parent university of which is the tie-up with which we are working with. So please contact the admissions office for that. So if you're offered this course, you're not good at mathematics, should I take this course? I would say you should choose a course if you are interested in that particular subject. So whether you are good at it or not is a matter of hard work and practice and time. So it's not that everybody who starts in computer science is extremely good at computer science, and it's not that the people who are very much, so it's all about the passion and interest with which you can go about it. So if you like mathematics but you are afraid that you're not so good at it, don't worry about it. I mean, just go for it, and then if you put enough hard work and with your interest, because you'll be working in an area of your interest, that makes it worthwhile. If you are working in an area, you take a BTech program which you're good at but you're not really into it, then you may not really feel continuing that. So I would recommend that go with your interest in such answer, in such questions. So let me just I'm just going through some things. uh, Let me see. I'm just trying to see the. I can see the same questions all over again. Okay, so I think we are pretty much close to the wrapping up. If you have any more questions, so can you go to the next slide, Satya, after this? So these are the different companies people can work in, as we said. Satya, can you move to the next slide, please? The following this that shows our emails and contact details. Satya, further, go further.
It is there now.
So if you have further questions, we have tried to answer most of the questions. They're mostly, most of them are seem very similar, and I would definitely share your, enthusiasm and concerns about such things. And thing is, definitely this is not something this is not a program that is suddenly coming out of the blue. This is a very necessary and modern program, and we have tried our best to design a holistic curriculum. If you need more details about what you would like to learn or know, we have you can contact us on our email addresses. And we definitely like to thank you all for your time and sparing your valuable time on this Sunday afternoon. And hope that we definitely care for your students, for your children's careers, and this is something that we have taken into consideration while designing this program. Okay, thank you very much, and hope to interact with most of you very soon.
Thank you.